I started my new role with high hopes and excitement. I was assigned to lead a major project, A. This was my chance to prove myself. I had been working hard, doing everything right, and now it felt like I was finally getting the recognition I deserved. But I had no idea that my biggest challenge wouldn't be the project itself. It was Rachel. Rachel had been with the company for 5 years, and she was a senior member of the team. She had a reputation for being sharp, meticulous, and incredibly good at her job. I admired her at first. She was someone I thought I could learn from. She seemed welcoming when I first joined the team, offering me advice, giving me the inside scoop on company politics. We'd grab coffee together, share laughs in the break room. It felt like we were friends. But then things started to change. At first, it was small. She'd give me little tips. Maybe you should change that presentation slide to look more polished, or you might want to rewrite that email, it sounds too casual. I took it as mentorship, though there was an odd edge to her advice, like she was constantly critiquing me. Still, I ignored the gut feeling telling me something wasn't right. She was just being helpful, I thought. Then, the first real red flag hit. One day during a client presentation, I was presenting my slides. I had worked for hours on them, ensuring everything was perfect. But just as I got to the key section of the presentation, the slides began to glitch. The client looked confused. I tried to recover, but my carefully crafted numbers were wrong. My heart sank. I stumbled through the rest of the presentation, feeling my confidence crack with every word. I was sure I'd blown it. After the meeting, Rachel came up to me and said, "You almost lost the client today. It's a good thing I was there to catch that error." I thought it was just her being critical, but her tone sent a chill down my spine. It was almost like she was gloating. The next day, I found an email in my inbox. It was from Rachel with the subject line, "Important, feedback on your presentation." When I opened it, the email was filled with suggestions, things I had already done, things I had already checked. But one sentence stood out. "You really need to start listening to me. I've been in this business long enough to know what works." It felt like a warning. But why? Why was she suddenly so invested in my success? Rachel started showing up uninvited to my meetings. She'd sit in the back, whispering notes to herself as I spoke. If I left the office early, she'd somehow be there when I got back, just checking on things. It was odd. It was like she was monitoring me, making sure I didn't outshine her. The worst part? The guilt she began planting in my head. She'd pull me aside and say things like, "You know, if you need help, I've been doing this for years. I'm just trying to make sure you don't mess it up." She made me feel incompetent, like I couldn't succeed without her help. But the truth? I was doing fine on my own. I confided in a colleague about the strange behavior, and she seemed concerned too. "Rachel's always been competitive," she said. "She's not the type to let someone else take the spotlight." I started to get paranoid. I double-checked every email I sent, second-guessed every presentation I made, wondering if Rachel was watching, waiting for me to slip up. I even started to feel like my reputation at the company was slipping, even though I had done nothing wrong. It was as though I was walking on eggshells. Then came the final blow. I received an invitation to present my project at an all-hands meeting with senior management. This was my moment, my chance to prove myself to the higher-ups. But the night before the presentation, I found something that made my stomach drop. On my desk, there was a folder. Inside it, my project draft. But it wasn't just my work. It had Rachel's name as the author. Everything I had done was there, with small tweaks, her tweaks. Even the email I was going to send to management was copied verbatim, but with her name on it. I felt my heart racing. This wasn't just a critique. This was an outright takeover. I couldn't keep quiet anymore. The next morning, I walked into the office early, gripping the folder she had left on my desk. My stomach twisted with anger and disbelief. I tapped lightly on Rachel's door. She glanced up from her laptop, smiled a little too sweetly, and waved me in. I closed the door behind me. "Hey," I said, holding up the folder. "I found this on my desk. It's my project draft, but your name's on it." Rachel leaned back, crossing her arms casually. "Oh, that," she said lightly. "I thought it was a collaboration. I just cleaned it up a bit, made it stronger." I blinked. "But you changed the emails. You rewrote the proposal. You erased my name." She tilted her head slightly, studying me like a child who didn't understand the rules yet. "Listen," she said, voice dropping to a low, almost conspiratorial tone. "You're good, really good. People notice you, but they forget how the game is played. You shine too fast. You paint a target on your back." She smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "I'm just leveling the field a little." I stood there, heart pounding. "So you've been sabotaging me?" Rachel shrugged, like it wasn't even worth denying. "I'm making sure I survive here. That's what it takes. You'll understand someday." It was so casual, so cold, like she truly believed betrayal was just part of the job description. Without another word, I turned and left her office, my hands shaking. All the hours I had poured into my work, all the trust I thought I had built. It wasn't just work anymore. It was a battlefield I hadn't realized I was standing on. At first, I didn't know what to do. I wanted to storm into HR, shout from the rooftops, but something in me said, "Play it smarter." I quietly started gathering evidence, screenshots of the original drafts, email chains showing the project's development, colleagues who had seen me working late nights. When I finally walked into HR 2 months later, I had a neat little folder labeled "For your review." I didn't accuse. I presented, calmly, professionally, and when they called Rachel in for a meeting, she crumbled fast. Turns out, mine wasn't the first complaint. There were whispers from other departments, patterns no one had bothered connecting until now. Rachel was offered a graceful exit, resign quietly or face an investigation. She left 2 weeks later without saying a word to me. No apology, no confrontation, just an empty desk and a strange, hollow silence. For a long time after, I doubted myself. Was I too naive? Too trusting? Was I wrong for thinking work could just be work? But over time, I realized something else. Rachel didn't win because she was smarter or stronger. She lost because she didn't believe in anything but fear. And I learned. I adapted. I built my career without stepping on anyone else. And when people warned me to trust no one, I just smiled. Because now, I know better.